Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday, and thank you very much for joining today's live stream and a little bit of community chat too. Why not? It's a weekend after all. If there will be any questions, or friends from you, any topics that you want maybe discuss in a little more detail, please use either super chat or some support platforms, PayPal, Boosty to send your question, or just capital Q in the chat so that I will spot the comment easier. A lot of news, dear friends. I was thinking to take a day off, but during the day, more and more stuff was happening, and I decided, you know what, let's go for a live stream, have a little bit of chat with the community. Will be good, and hopefully you will actually like the video, dear friends. Just a reminder that videos, live streams during the weekends stay on platforms. They are they have a public access, while during the weekdays live streams are unlisted after the stream itself, and the original links are posted on my Patreon and Boosty pages. And well, when it comes to Patreon, dear friends, let me show you, and I will take a minute before little bit more members will join. And that's my Patreon page. I'm gonna drop in the chat right now link to it, just in case you will consider to join to support my work on a monthly basis and join our Patreon community. I will drop link in both chats on YouTube and Rumble. Should be visible now. And so yes, that's the Patreon. You click that link and this page will open. It says 454 participants, but in reality, vast majority is free subscribers, and free subscription does not really help her project in any ways. 138 members are paid subscribers and are actually supporting my work and this project. And in order this project to be in a safer place, our community needs to double at least. And so I welcome with open arms everybody who will decide to join community. Monthly subscription starts from $5, dear friends, and then you can use your level of supporter. And also there is this feature, you can actually buy each video if you want, or as a mean of donation, right? If you are not subscribed, then you can use this feature, buy for, it says €3. It's in the $3 minimum price tag that Patreon has. It's $3. So that's stuff there. And this is Boosty. I don't know why Boosty did not become popular for our community, because it's very convenient for creators, especially for creators that are from Russia, because all donations that come through Boosty are automatically exchanged in rubles and are sent to my account. It makes life much more easier. Yeah, that's how Boosty looks. I have a lot of videos, by the way, almost 500 exclusive content, mostly exclusive content on Patreon here, and also hundreds of videos here. And with Boosty, what is a feature that scares some members of community, although I find it actually useful, is that if you want to log in and sign up, all you have to do is press login, and you can use your existing accounts on anything really. It will show you automatically your country. I mean, your platforms that are popular in your country. You can use a Google account, existing one, to join. You can use here in Russia, it shows me VKontakte, Odnoklassniki, Mail.ru. I have accounts in VKontakte and Mail.ru. I don't have Odnoklassniki, but nevertheless, you use your existing account and you will just go in. You don't have to register and that kind of stuff. It will do it automatically, and then you can, if you want, donate. You can subscribe, choose your level of subscription. We only have on Boosty only 13 members are in the community. Overall, it's 79, but 13 paid subscribers only. And my hope was that we will reach 100 at some point, and we are a long way from there. But anyways, that's the platforms that you can actually use to support. And when it comes to exclusive content for my Patreon and Boosty, dear friends, from Monday, this is a little announcement for you. From Monday, I want to make some additional changes in the programming, good ones. I want to move first live stream from 12 p.m. Moscow time to 3 p.m. Moscow time. Evening live stream will stay at 9 p.m. And in the morning time, I want to go outside and record walk and talk type of video, news update from Monday to Friday. And the whole video will go on Patreon and Boosty as exclusive content for on these platforms. And I might use some short clips from those walk and talk videos, and I will publish those on YouTube and Rumble. And also maybe I will use some short clips from that walk and talk during the live streams too. Let's see how it will work out. I know many members of our community like this walk and talk type of videos. They like to see some areas, and I think I will manage to do this stuff from Monday. Let's see. If it's bad weather, extremely bad weather or something, I will go, I don't know, an instant shopping mall, for example, and I will film there. Update also could be interesting. Anyways, something additional to the project. Okay, dear friends, I guess that's about it for intro. Let's go through some news, and there are a lot is happening, dear friends. A lot is happening. Iranian forces were minutes away before striking U.S. destroyer in the Hormuz Strait area, but they made a warning. And the U.S. vessel in time back down. Otherwise there would be no freaking negotiations in Islamabad for sure. Some other topics will make headlines, but I will get to that story later on. I'm gonna start with the proxy war that West is waging against the Russian Federation. And Easter Truce announced by Russian President Vladimir Putin has come into effect at 4 p.m. today, Moscow time, and will last whole day today and whole day tomorrow until tomorrow midnight, which is a good thing, of course. The ceasefire announced by Russian President Vladimir Putin in connection with their Easter has begun and will last until April 13. Good, of course. After all, it's Easter. And on both sides, by the way, this is a civil war. I have said many times before that Western ruling class managed to provoke because they were quite successful, unfortunately, in the brainwashing of a significant number of people in this former Soviet Republic, Ukraine. But nevertheless, by the way, we all are part of one world, which is a Russian world, of course, and majority of us are Orthodox Christians. So definitely good move there in terms of humanitarian track to declare a ceasefire, this Easter truce. And also on the humanitarian track, there was another successful step, which is that today 175 Russian POWs were freed from Kiev-controlled territory, and 175 members of the Kiev regime's forces were freed. POW exchange took place. Also good news. And when it comes to this POW exchange, dear friends, let me just remind you that whenever Russian troops are taking POWs, one of the first questions they are asking, do you want her to be exchanged? And the majority of Ukrainian POWs are saying no. In Russian custody, as of now, I think it's tens of thousands of Ukrainian POWs, and vast majority of them says no, they don't want to be exchanged. And at that point, all the information about them, as far as I can tell, is classified, to make sure that their relatives, basically, mostly because the Russian side tries to make sure that relatives of these POWs on a Kyiv-controlled territory are safe and not going to be harassed, right? And those relatives not going to be used to influence POWs and stuff. A good move there. So therefore, Russian side never going to tell publicly how many POWs, Ukrainian POWs, are in Russian custody, because yet again, vast majority don't want to be exchanged, and their relatives don't want them to be exchanged, right? Because they might get these 175 Ukrainian POWs that were freed. Maybe they were thinking that they're not going to end up on the front line no more. But unfortunately for them, majority of those POWs eventually will end up in the trenches again. They might get a week or two off, and they're going to get forcefully mobilized again. That's the reality there. But nevertheless, good move on humanitarian track there. And also, Russian media reported that last 7 residents of a Kursk region of the Russian Federation that were taken hostage by Kyiv regime's forces and NATO mercenaries when they were occupying Kursk salient area were freed today. Also, RIA Novosti, for example, reports that 7 residents of the Kursk region have been returned from Ukrainian captivity. Ministry of Defense reported about it, and as of now, according to media reports that I see, there are no more Russian hostages from Kursk region, at least in hands of Kyiv regime. Also positive news there. But before this Easter truce went into force, of course, there was activity on the line of contact, and the Russian media, based on Defense Ministry's update, reported that 2 more settlements were liberated by Russian troops. So Russian troops have established control over the villages of Dibrova in the DPR and the settlement Miropolskaya in Sumy region. Let me show you on the map, dear friends, where this settlement, and this is, like that, so that map will open better. So this is a Dibrova settlement in a DPR, relatively small village, maybe a dozen or 2 settlements, but a very important one right now, because Russian troops are getting closer and closer to last major stronghold, the last major defense line of the Kyiv regime in DPR, which is, of course, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk. And as of now, I think forward units of the Russian troops are just 5 to 7 kilometers, maximum 10 kilometers away from this line, and progress continues. Although, of course, lately some might argue that progress was a little slow. Maybe not maybe. I can see this argument, but I have already explained before that weather conditions, of course, influence the situation. Ground not yet solid after winter, right? And therefore, movement of larger formations obviously is extremely difficult in such a condition. But give it another month, I think ground will become solid enough, and we will see significant activization of the Russian offensive operations. And also, let me show you this another settlement in the Sumy region, which is located right on the border with the Russian Federation. And this is Miropolskaya settlement. Also, maybe 2-3 dozen of buildings there in this village. But nevertheless, it is important, and Russian armed forces further extending buffer zone in the Sumy region. You can see, by the way, there is a lot of areas that are under Russian control there. And some reports suggest that maybe this summer we will see some major Russian sectoral scale offensive in the Sumy direction also, could be case. Of course, I have no information from Russian general staff, so I cannot either confirm or deny these reports. But yes, there are some suggestions that sectoral scale offensive in assuming direction to this before end of summer. And I will argue that there is also high chances that we will see also sectoral scale offensive in the Zaporozhye region. We might see a sectoral scale offensive in this last remnants of the DPR that is still controlled by Kyiv regime in that area, possibly even in the Kharkov region. I mean, you never know. Yet again, only few people in Russian general staff and the Russian president knows actual plans about offensive operations. Also, dear friends, let me give you update about work of Russian air defense systems past 24 hours. And well, according to RIA Novosti's report, which is based on Defense Ministry, in past 24 hours, 259 Ukrainian drones were intercepted, 12 guided bombs, which indicates that Kyiv regime and NATO still are using their aircrafts, military aircrafts. That's unfortunate, but anyways, every now and then we are receiving reports about interception of Kyiv regimes, whatever is remains from Kyiv regime's air force. So I don't think these air attacks are gonna last for long. Also, dear friends, let me share with you this report that there was I mentioned yesterday, I believe, that there was a drone attacks. There was a drone attacks on Russian in the Caspian Sea. Number of drones were intercepted by Russian air defenses in the Caspian Sea. And today we have some additional information about it. I saw this report, for example, on the Kirill Fyodorov Vayna Historia Oruzhye Telegram channel, which is one of the biggest channels in Russian segment, in pro-Russian segment of Telegram, let's say. And this channel is reporting that attack by Ukrainian drones on a drilling rigs in the Caspian Sea had occurred 1,000 kilometers from their front. Up to 10 drones hit 2 Lukoil drilling rigs located in the northern part of the Caspian Sea. It's worth noting, channel writes, that there was protection at their facilities, splashes of water from automatic fire and launch of main portable air defense systems were visible in the videos that were shared by Kyiv regime, but this was not enough, according to this channel. And I believe I have a video itself that I can show you right now of this attack. Well, I should have a video, by the way, but I don't. Okay, anyways, you can see pictures, by the way, here. I guess some serious damage was done to these rigs. And if you take a look at the map, whenever there is attacks in the Caspian region and on the southern eastern parts of the Russian Federation, I always have this thought that maybe Kyiv regime and its NATO backers, British Secret Services and militaries, first of all, are using Kazakhstani territory for these attacks. Because I find it almost impossible to believe that drones launched from Kyiv-controlled territory were actually able to bypass all the Russian air defenses from there to Caspian Sea and struck some energy facilities or anything else there. I think it is more realistic to assume that these drones are launched from either Kazakhstani territory or maybe from Azerbaijan, which is a Southern Caucasus Republic, former Soviet Republic. But this is my speculation. Russian officials never ever make any such claims. But I think this is more realistic. And I think I'm correct, as I was correct, by the way, when I was saying that NATO Baltic republics were used for attacks on Leningrad region, for example, or any other northern region of the Russian Federation. Lately, we receive a lot of, at least indirect confirmations that my assumptions were correct, that Kyiv regime's drones were would not be able to bypass all the Russian regions from Q-controlled territory to Leningrad region, not in dozens for sure, but and therefore my understanding was that these Baltic republics, I mean Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, Finland, were used for these attacks. And as I said, lately we received a lot of indirect confirmations, because after all, during that 2-week longer massive attacks on Leningrad region, in Ust-Luga direction, in direction of some other important areas, during those attacks, quite a number of drones were failing, crashing in Lithuania, Latvia, in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, by the way, right? Which clearly indicates that those drones were either using airspace without being challenged by these local NATO member states, or were actually launched from the territories of these Baltic NATO members. Either way, this makes these republics complicit in these attacks, of course, and Moscow promised reaction on that. We did not see any reaction as of now, but maybe sometime in the future there will be some steps taken. So I think, I was my assumption in regards to either Kazakhstan or Azerbaijan territory being used by Kiev regime and its NATO backers, first of all, UK, is also correct, as I was correct in regards to Baltics. Anyways, as a yet another confirmation that all these long-range attacks on the Russian Federation is a NATO attacks, well, we have statements of Budanov, former head of main intelligence directorate of the Kiev regime's defense ministry, and currently head of Zelensky's office, head of presidential office there. Budanov confirmed that basically they are mostly dependent on their Western masters when it comes to drones. And this information is also coming from Kirill Fedorov, Vojna Historia Оружия channel. It's a mechanical translation. I will read it for you, what this channel wrote about it. Terrorist Budanov decided to deliver treacherous speech about Ukraine losing its sovereignty in the matter of creating certain types of weapons. And then quote here, all our current super defense technologies, drones, and so on, whose uses elemental base. Who is their elemental base? What's Ukraine about it? What's Ukrainian about it? Even their 3D printer on which most parts are made, it's not our either. And their casting in it is not our either. Ukraine has lost their ability to produce guidance systems without which it will not have a full-fledged tank and missile programs, Budanov says. And well, without Budanov's statements, everybody knew, I mean, our community at least, because I was sharing my take on that many times, that all these drones and their underwater or maritime drones, aerial drones, missiles, most of it is coming from the NATO countries. And well, Budanov is basically confirming that yes, this is the case. Also, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting about some very interesting story that happened in France, and I guess France is not alone in this regard. And report story is that tens of thousands of Ukrainian troops are running, once end up in French territory, for example, are running away and are staying in France while avoiding fighting. And they're staying in France illegally. So tens of thousands of Ukrainian service members have used the medical treatment programs abroad to escape the Ukrainian armed forces. Le Point magazine reports. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian service members have taken advantage of treatment programs abroad to avoid returning to the Ukrainian armed forces. Westy reports, citing the French magazine Le Point. French journalists note that one of 3 Ukrainian service members who underwent rehabilitation in French hospitals never returned home. According to Le Point, estimates over 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers remain in France, most of whom are there in the country illegally. The publication notes that these soldiers are often in a difficult psychological state due to their experience at the front. Le Point emphasized that it's understandable that Ukrainian soldiers are concerned about returning to Ukraine and potentially being sent back to the front. However, French journalist believes that traumatized former soldiers living in their country illegally could pose a threat to France's security. And yeah, I mean, they have a point, clearly. Clearly, this, I mean, Europe will inevitably face Ukrainian crime and Ukrainian terrorism, because thousands, tens of thousands of people in Ukraine were sent into front lines, mostly forcefully. Many of them gained some significant experience. Many of them are traumatized and are dealing with the PTSD and God knows what other psychological issues. And it is highly likely that some of those individuals, due to their some psychological issues, due to their knowledge how to operate with their weaponry and stuff, including drones, might end up in some criminal organizations, in some terrorist organizations. At some point, some of those people might think that, well, West betrayed them, and they might go on some killing spree, and they might go for some terrorist attacks and stuff. Europe will definitely face these issues, 100%, by the way. And at this point, nothing European countries really can do about it, right? They already planted the seeds of this trouble, and they should brace the impact now. They should brace for the impact now. That's all they can actually do. But it is interesting, isn't it, that just in France, tens of thousands of militaries from Kiev-controlled territory, fled their hospitals and they were returned to Ukraine. And who knows what's going to happen either with them or what they're going to do to others. And it's, as I said, France is not alone. I guess similar situation is in other countries too that were and still are engaged in this proxy war against Russia. TASS news agency is also reporting that Estonia will not detain Russian vessels in the Baltic Sea due to risk of escalation. Interesting. These NATO member states, man, the local elites are so emboldened that sometimes they make such a crazy statements that I don't know. It's hard to, understand. But every now and then, they are coming back to reality and understand that statements are one thing, but to do actually some stuff, that's a whole different story. And I guess this report is exactly about that. Estonia will not detain Russian vessels in the Baltic Sea due to fears of military response from Moscow. Estonia's Navy commander, Ivo Vark, told the Reuters, the risk of military escalation is just too high. Vark told their agency when asked about their intentions to seize oil tankers and their other vessels believed to be belong to Russian Shadow Fleet. Estonia would only consider intervention in the event of damage to infrastructure or an oil spill, he added. And of course, Estonia alone cannot do anything, but we should always keep in mind that it's not Estonia or any other these Baltic Chihuahua quasi-states that are making any decisions. It's London, it's globalists, right? And I think London globalists, they have enough influence over their European states to use them and abuse them any way, shape, and form they want, including in terms of using their territories, their assets to orchestrate this piracy on the high seas. And every now and then we are hearing reports, isn't it, that Russian vessel was harassed here and Russian vessel was detained there. Even if those vessels eventually are released, nevertheless, that's inconvenient, isn't it? That's inconvenient, and after all, Russia is beginning to escort to organize convoys of the vessels, commercial vessels, and Russia is beginning to escort these vessels with their warships. One of such convoys just a few days ago passed through La Manche, or English Channel, which caused quite a big hysteria in UK, right? Some so-called journalists were demanding some actions to be taken by London, but those people probably don't understand what they are asking for. And it is good that British militaries were just observing without interfering. That was a right decision in that particular case. Anyways, dear friends, let me now check a Rumble in case there is any super chat or something to react. Oh, there was no super chat on Rumble, by the way, but there was a premium subscription gift from Viper to a member of community. Let me highlight this. Thank you very much, Viper, for this gift of monthly premium subscription to a member of our community. Each such gift is, of course, $5 donation to this project. And thank you very much for that. If I may, I will highlight this. That's how it looks, dear friends. So thank you very much, Viper, for this gift of premium subscription to a member of community there on Rumble. And well, if I may, dear friends, if I may, I will drop a link to my Rumble live stream right now in the chat on YouTube. In case you have a counter on Rumble, you can subscribe to my channel, and also you can watch the video there. And if you want to, you can use a super chat or become a premium subscriber. There will be massive support, of course. And okay, dear friends, that's been said. Let's continue with some other news, and Middle East, of course. Middle East, this so-called ceasefire that no one believes in, and the so-called peace talks between US and Iran in Islamabad. A lot of headlines about the subject. Iran named the conditions for peace talks with US to succeed. Basically, Tehran expects a ceasefire in Lebanon and the unblocking of its assets before beginning peace talks with Washington. And well, peace talks actually began, and I'm not sure these demands of Iran was met. And it's not just these demands. Strait of Hormuz should be under Iranian control. That's another red line. According to Iranian media, Iran will get war reparations, another one. Frozen Iranian assets have to be returned, unfrozen, unblocked. Stable ceasefire in all areas relevant to Iran, entire region, to be included, basically. And this is at least these 4 points, red lines, that Tehran says. And many commentators on internet noticed that there is no point there in this report of Iranian media about enrichment of uranium. And some commentators already began suggesting that maybe Iran is backing down from this demand that they should have a full cycle of civilian nuclear program, which includes enrichment also. I don't think this is their case. I don't think Iran will back down on this point. But who knows? Who knows, really? First and foremost, we should keep in mind that all these so-called peace talks that are taking place in Pakistan, in the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad, are just another deception operation of the Western ruling class, right? So therefore, I don't think any statements about any points, any demands actually makes any sense in terms of impacting the real situation on the ground. Anything can be said by anyone's side, but because these negotiations, because U.S. American side is not honest in these talks. All they want is to just buy some time before they will, not just they, but before Western ruling class and all the countries that they control will gear up for a next phase of the escalation. Therefore, what point is in paying too much attention to these statements or to these so-called talks? Really, none, right? U.S. Lebanon have asked Israel. U.S. and Lebanon have asked Israel to stop attacks on Hezbollah until during this peace talks. Axios report about it, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says no. Allegedly Trump himself had a phone conversation with Netanyahu and asked him to stop targeting Lebanon, and Netanyahu says no, he just don't care. And allegedly talks going to take place between Israel and Lebanon on 14th of April in US. So therefore, if Iranian side is standing on its demand that there can be no agreements reached until there is or the serious talks, if there is no ceasefire in Lebanon, then I guess next several days no one should expect anything from Islamabad. Although I will argue that no one should expect any actual breakthrough from Islamabad either way, because yet again, US is not honest in these talks. Western ruling class is not honest. All they do is just buy time. But process continues, right? And we kind of forced to pay attention to it, at least on some level. And we had this report too that Iranian source says US has agreed to release frozen Iranian assets in Qatar and other banks. And the amount may not be like too great. It's only like $6-7 billion or something, but it would be a good first step to demonstrate that American side is serious about these talks. But after all, they need to buy some time, isn't it? And that means they need to prolong these so-called peace talks for a couple of weeks, maybe longer than that. Not maybe, for sure longer than that, because to gear up for the next phase of the escalation against Iran, NATO member states, collective West, will need at least 3-4 weeks from now just to deploy naval assets with long-range weaponry. They will need at least a couple of weeks, man. Some assets can be deployed in a matter of, let's say, a week. For example, France has quite a formidable armada stationed in Eastern Mediterranean, and those vessels can actually enter Red Sea, which can be counted as an operational zone, literally in a matter of days, because all they have to do is to go through Suez Channel. But if Germany wants to deploy its armada from Baltics, per se, it will take preparations and move towards Red Sea or Arabian Sea will take at least a week or two for them, right? At least, preparations and their transit itself. So therefore, of course, Western ruling class is interested to prolong these so-called peace talks as much as they can, and they might actually take some steps to keep Iranians busy in these talks, right? And to prolong this so-called ceasefire while lying, right, for as long as they need. But nevertheless, despite earlier claims that U.S. agreed to unfreeze certain volume of Iranian assets, almost immediately, other media outlets reported that this is not the case. U.S. did not agree to unfreeze Iranian assets, reports American TV channel CBS citing source in the U.S. government. So you see, this fog of war and a lot of lies and misinformation and disinformation is making practically impossible to actually understand what the hell is going on there, right? If you are not trying to see the big picture, if you zoom out and take a look at the big picture, then you're not gonna get confused with this type of reports, because you will see what's actually going on. But if you are zoomed in on these details, then you will definitely get confused at some point, because there is a lot of reports that are contradicting each other. Every hour, different media outlets are reporting different stuff that don't really go well with each other. Anyways, RIA Novosti is also reported that there is indirect talks between Iran and their American delegation took place already in Islamabad. It's not just indirect talks, but I believe about an hour ago they actually began direct talks. Trump was asked what his main demander, and he says no nuclear weapons. And yet again, I mean, we should not really pay much attention nowadays, or ever, really to Trump's statements, because I'm not sure he himself understands what he's talking about. But I mean, this topic of nuclear weapons, Iranian nuclear weapons, man, how long are they going to push this nonsense? Really, Iran has no nuclear weapons and therefore cannot give up something that they don't have. And maybe that's why they are constantly abusing this topic, this narrative. They, I mean, Western so-called elites, because they are demanding something that Iran cannot agree upon, because if they don't have any military nuclear program, they cannot give up on that, right? So therefore, Western ruling class will always have a say, opportunity to say, you know what, we demanded that they should get rid of nuclear weapons, military nuclear program. They said no, so we have to attack now. We have to go for next phase. Maybe that's what's up there with this topic. And also, man, Trump. I mean, this guy, man, is really something, isn't it? He, of course, constantly threatens Iranian side. He literally said that Iranian negotiators are alive only because of his mercy, kind of, right? Otherwise, they would be killed, which is crazy way to do talks, right? To be engaged in negotiations. Let me give you these two tweets from Trump. Iranians are better at handling the fake news media and the public relations than they are at fighting President Donald J. Trump. Well, Iranians actually perform much more effective than Americans, right? And Israelis. And the whole world is basically agreed that as of now, first phase of this war did not really went well for Western ruling class, globalists, neocons, Zionists, and the regimes that they control. Whole world agrees on that. Only maybe, I don't know, some small portion of extremely misled people in the US are taking seriously the statements of Trump that they won, they destroy everything, and they are 100% victorious. No one else takes this statement seriously. But nevertheless, then Trump went to say, Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards, which is crazy to say, man. I mean, honestly, is Trump that illusional? For whom he is writing? Every time he says something like that, he's creating more and more cracks in his own base, because even diehard mother individuals, diehard Trump supporters, I mean, among that camp, there is a people that are actually paying attention to other sources, man, to other media reports. In alternative media is there, right? And they began question the statements of Trump. I mean, what are you saying, that the Iranians have no cards when they are in control of Strait of Hormuz? Is that not enough on card? That alone is not good enough. Nothing to be said about capability of Iran to deny skies to US Air Force and Israeli Air Force. Trump might say like every day 10 times that they destroy all their air defenses of Iran, but this is lie. This is lie. They already lost, according to some accounts, they already lost aircrafts worth 2 billion plus. 2 billion plus value. Just the aircrafts that were destroyed. So I don't know. But anyways, that's what he's writing, that Iranians don't seem to realize that they have no cards other than a short-term extortion of the border by using international waterways. It's Iranian waterways, actually, not international waterways. It's Iranian territorial waters and Iranian economical zone, right? That's how it is, really. Oman can say the same. They share basically this Strait of Hormuz between each other. There is nothing international there. And just because neither Iran, neither Oman was asking for money before to pass through Strait does not mean that they have no right to do so. They have a right to do so, especially now, when Iran was attacked for no reason whatsoever. And there was tremendous damage to civilian infrastructure in Iran, tremendous damage done to society. And of course, Iran has to receive compensations for that, and they will receive these compensations one way or another, but they will take what is theirs. And Trump continues to say the only reason they are alive today is to negotiate President Donald J. Trump. So he is basically saying that the only reason why this Iranian leadership that is engaged, let's say, in talks in Islamabad, Ghalibaf, Speaker of the Parliament, Abbas Araghchi, Foreign Minister, and others, there is very heavy delegation from Iran there. They only are alive to be engaged in the talks. Trump is saying he's threatening with the death negotiators. And I mean, these threats are taken seriously, I think, and should be taken seriously, for sure. But clearly, this is not the way things to be done. And I don't know, man, someone have to take a phone away from Trump, man. What is this? Why he is embarrassing himself? Why he is embarrassing US as a state? Why he is embarrassing his people that elected him? When he's acting this stupid, you think what people worldwide are going to think about people that elected this moron? Why he is embarrassing Americans, man? What's wrong with this creature? I don't know. But as I said, there are talks, begun direct talks, according to media reports, between US and Iranian delegations. RIA Novosti is, let me update this report right now. So let's see what RIA Novosti is saying about it. Negotiations between Iran and the United States have begun in Islamabad. Iran state broadcaster reports earlier on Saturday, Tasnim news agency reported that Iran had decided to start talks with the US in Islamabad on the release of Iranian assets and the ceasefire in Lebanon. So I guess this is the initial topics of discussion. Who knows? The negotiations between Iran and the American side have begun in Islamabad. Their state television and radio companies said in a statement, Iranian delegation for negotiations with the United States, led by Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. Delegation also includes Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, National Security Council Chairman Ali Akbar Ahmadian, and the Central Bank Governor Abdul Nasser Hemati. US delegation, which also includes President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and their American leader's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. That's embarrassing, man. Why Jared Kushner is everywhere? Okay, I mean, he's a director representative of the Zionists. Okay, we get that. But why wouldn't Trump give him any status? Why he won't make him officially as his aide or something, so that he will have status in a state system, right? Just because he's a son-in-law of US president does not give him any status to be in these talks, man. What's going on there? I mean, this alone is so embarrassing for US, man, or should be at least. But this delegation is led by Vice President J.D. Vance, and no details as of now. After the news segment, I will of course check latest updates on the matter, and there might be some updates. So stay on the channel, dear friends. U.S. is loading ships. Trump, meanwhile, while all this stuff is going on in Islamabad, Trump, of course, have to make more threats, right? He cannot without it. I mean, he have to act there as a tough guy and that kind of nonsense. And so he went to say U.S. is loading ships with the best weapons ever made to strike Iran if peace talks fail. And you know what? You don't have to say it. Everybody understands that you are not serious about these talks. Everyone understands that you are not serious about these talks. Neither you neither your masters, right? Zionists, globalists, neocons, whomever, Western ruling class. We know that Western elites are not serious about these talks. They are just buying time to gear up for the next phase of escalation. We know that U.S. Destroyers that were engaged in first waves of attacks on Iran are reloading now because they used all the Tomahawk missiles, all the long-range missiles already, and they need to get some more, right? And it takes time to deliver those missiles into location of these vessels, these destroyers, or those destroyers themselves to go somewhere on some military base to get rearmed. So it takes U.S. militaries definitely need at least 2, 3, 4 weeks to rearm, and European NATO member states do need also 3, 4 weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks to gear up as much as they can, right, and deploy their assets with long-range capabilities towards the region. We know this, but Trump cannot keep his mouth shut, isn't it? He have to say it publicly too. Okay, we hear. And well, what is also interesting, dear friends, just like half an hour before I launched live stream, a number of media outlets reported that several U.S. Navy ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz and were moving from east to west. They were moving inside the Gulf. Axios was one of the first who reported about it. Then, after that, Tasnim news agency, Iranian media outlet, Tasnim reported that U.S. destroyer moving towards the Strait of Hormuz turned back after Iranian warnings. Iran told the Pakistani mediators a ship would be targeted within 30 minutes and negotiations will also be affected. Firm reaction of armed forces led to that U.S. destroyer to obey orders, basically, and back down. Interesting. And same Axios, Barak Ravi, this Israeli asset that acts as a journalist of Axios, then had to come up with some explanations, right? He could not say, or Western propaganda cannot say that Iranians threatened with the actions and they had to back down. So look the wording from Barak Ravid. U.S. officials said their warships crossed the Strait of Hormuz from east to the west to the Gulf and then made their way back through the strait to the Arabian Sea. This was an operation that focused on freedom of navigation through international waters, the U.S. officials say. Okay, man, okay. This was a pre-planned operation to pass through strait, enter the Gulf, and then straight away turn around and flee the area. Well, okay, we believe in that. It's crazy, man. But the Iranian side was very clear. Either this destroyer and there was maybe some other vessels, either those vessels are going back immediately and they had 30 minutes to react, or they will be targeted. And you can understand, your friends, Iranians will freaking obliterate those vessels in the Gulf. I mean, reports are that this destroyer and maybe a few more vessels were moving from Oman Gulf. They passed through Strait of Hormuz, and they were around these disputed islands, disputed between UAE and Iran. Abi Musa, Big Tomb, and the Small Tomb. This destroyer and some escorting vessels seems like were somewhere around these islands when Iran make it clear that 30 minutes and they are obliterated, and they turned around, made a U-turn, and flee again towards Oman Gulf. But well, situation was very close to extraordinary escalation, isn't it? Very close. Well, I have said already, dear friends, today in my previous updates that I personally don't believe that Western ruling class and the regimes that they control, including US, are honest in terms of the escalation. All they want is to buy some time. And real plans of the Western elites are to actually gear up for next wave of attacks on Iran, and they're going to bring in NATO member states, because European NATO member states, and they will try their best to also push Gulf monarchies as hard as they can to enter this war too at some stage of their second phase of escalation, and that's the direction that situation is heading. Rutte, head of NATO, stated that 34-nation coalition is kind of ready to ensure shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, and that means, of course, war with Iran, because Iran did not invite nobody to help them with their navigation. Correct? And I think this is my personal assessment. It will take for European NATO member states, militaries and navies, some other, Air Force, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Around 2 to 4 weeks, right, to gear up and deploy their long-range assets, their strike force, basically, in and around the Middle East, and therefore Western ruling class will try to prolong this so-called negotiations with Iran for exactly that duration of time, 2 to 4 weeks. I think Iranians know this. And well, they will use this time also to get ready for inevitable, in my personal opinion, next round of escalation, which might be even harder than the first one. I already shared earlier, dear friends, this information about long-range capabilities of European NATO member states. They can deploy at least 3,000 to 5,000 long-range missiles, which is a lot, which is quite a lot. I just remind you that according to media reports, US only had about 3,000 JASSM cruise missiles when they launched this war. And now they have only 400 left, approximately 400 left, which is a maximum, for 2 days of high intensity operations, and that's it. And they cannot use those missiles, because after all, they have to have something left, right? Just in case. Europeans can deploy 3,000 to 5,000 long-range missiles, at least. And all they need now is grounds on which they will deploy this weaponry. And one way how this can be done is to, declare some operation to free the Hormuz Strait or something. Of course, that will ultimately make these countries part of a war against Iran. There can be some false flag operations. They can send a military vessel, which will be targeted, let's say, by Israeli US secret services, and that will be then used as to invoke Article 5. There are many other possible scenarios how Western ruling class will try to create a ground for European NATO member states to enter this war. And then, of course, they will try hard, man. They will try hard to push Gulf monarchies to enter the war too. After all, Stammer was and still is, I believe, in the Arabian Peninsula for a reason, right? And this reason is to use whatever leverage they have over the local monarchies to also gear up for war with Iran. Hopefully they will fail. Hopefully they will fail, but you never know, right? And another Western propaganda outlets, Western ruling class, already began creating yet another false narrative based on which they might actually justify deployment of their forces. As an example, and as I said, they can go in many ways, right? It's up to their fantasy. They can come up with any story they want. And this is just one of the such stories, false narratives that can be used for justification of deployment of European assets. Iran unable to find the mines it planted in the Strait of Hormuz, US says. This is coming from New York Times. And you know, in New York Times are just launching this new narrative, other media outlets gonna join in, of course, right? And this topic gonna become a big one in upcoming days. I think that, well, you know, European NATO states have to deploy minesweepers. They have to deploy additional assets to protect these minesweepers. Then more assets to protect their protectors and stuff like that. And eventually something might and will happen that will be used to invoke Article 5 or to justify full-scale, you know, entry of the European NATO member states into this war. Do you believe that Iranians don't know where their mines are? I don't. You don't drop mines just for sake of fun. Nowhere, man. It does not work like that. It just does not work like that, right? But nevertheless, that's one of the narratives that West will push. New York Times reports that Iran will not be able to fully open the Strait of Hormuz due to impossibility of conducting mine clearance. According to a publication, the IRGC mined their straits chaotically without recording the coordinates of their installations. Also, many mines could simply be carried away by the current. It is known that Iran left a narrow corridor for the passage of ships that paid for their passage or were granted permission. This is all nonsense, by the way. I don't think Iran dropped any mines whatsoever. Earlier reports were, I remember during the first days of this war, there was reports from US side, from American side, that Iran allegedly deployed some 12 mines, 10 to 12 mines in the Persian Gulf. I was skeptical straight away about these reports, and I'm skeptical now too. I don't think Iran deployed any mines whatsoever. They don't need to. This strait, by the way, is very narrow. It's very narrow strait. They can target any vessel they want before those vessels even get to strait. And they can target those vessels from their coastal line. They don't need to install any mines, actually, in the strait. And therefore, I think this is a clear false narrative that is being pushed now by Western propaganda to justify deployment of European NATO member states' assets. And yet again, just imagine British minesweeper, for example, moved in, then Israeli, US, it could be French, by the way, it does not matter. It's a NATO country's minesweeper, right? So let's imagine this minesweeper went in based on this false narrative that Iranian side cannot actually diffuse those mines, cannot even find those mines. So British, this vessel entered the strait. It was struck in the very first day or in 3 days. It was struck by something. Of course, they will blame, and I mean, Israeli, US, and British secret services can definitely pull off such an operation easy. And they will blame, of course, they will blame Iran, of course, and that's enough for a ground for Fifth Article to be invoked. And then all NATO, or most of the NATO countries, are in to this war. It's a plausible scenario, isn't it? Maybe that's exactly the plan they have. Otherwise, what kind of report is this? New York Times is a big name in the Western propaganda, isn't it? It's a big name. And why they are publishing this absolutely false article that Iranians don't know where their mines are? I mean, seriously? Come on, man. Probably they did not install no mines whatsoever, right? Because there is no need for that. They can strike on any vessel in the Gulf, by the way, not just in the Strait, but in Oman, in Gulf of Oman and Persian Gulf. They can strike literally any vessel they want. Nothing to be said about Strait, which is really tiny, man, narrow. It's like 20 miles, correct? It's about 20, 25 miles across. That's it, man. And there is only a few passages. You cannot pass any way you want because you might end up in a trouble. You have to know direct passageways, right? Where water is deep enough and there is no some obstacles on your way, right? There is just two corridors, by the way, one to get in and another to get out of the Gulf, Persian Gulf. That's how Strait operated for decades. Anyways, clearly there is more and more indicators, dear friends, that my reading of the big picture is correct, I think, and all these so-called peace talks in Islamabad is nothing but yet another deception operation on behalf of Western ruling class, Western elites, and they will use this deception operation, these fake negotiations, fake peace talks, fake from their side. Iran is genuine. Iran, actually, I believe Iran sent such a heavy delegation that they are serious, man. They are serious. If you want to have a resolution to the crisis, okay, we are here. Let's have a real talk. They are serious, but American side, no, man. Western ruling class is not serious. It's just so clear, isn't it? And they are pushing more and more narratives to justify next phase of escalation, which is going to happen, man. Maybe in 2 weeks from now, maybe in 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, but that next phase is going to happen. Also, there is, of course, other probabilities, other possible scenarios that might play out of desperation. Zionists and their globalist and neocon allies might do any crazy stuff. Maybe they will do calculations this time around a little more properly than they did before, and maybe they will realize that even if Europe deploys all of its long-range military assets, they're not going to be able to actually destroy Iran, state of Iran. They're not going to be able to push Iranian society into total chaos and civil war. They would not be able to spread this civil war then throughout the region, and therefore they might go for something else. If they will do these calculations and come up with a result that additional long-range attacks, thousands of strikes, not gonna change fundamentally the situation, they might, out of desperation, they might go for some other scenarios, some other force, especially because they cannot back down, by the way. This Middle Eastern chapter is just too essential, too critical for a long-standing, decade-longer strategy of the Western ruling class to maintain dominance over the world and simultaneously destroy only two countries that dare to challenge them, which is China and Russia. I spoke about their strategy, how I see it many times before, no need to repeat, but that strategy cannot go anywhere if Western ruling class fails in a Middle Eastern chapter, which tasked basically to cut off this region from the global economy. That's their task. That's the task of Middle Eastern chapter, to destabilize whole region, push whole region into violence on ethnic and sectarian lines, and that will, of course, destroy everything if that can be destroyed, right? And that will ultimately make this region cut off from the rest of the world. If Western elites succeed in provoking regional scale war on ethnic and sectarian lines, you can understand that this war will obliterate everything, all the infrastructure that there is, right? Energy infrastructure and everything else. And at that point, you don't even have to care much about keeping Strait of Hormuz um, or navigation in the Persian Gulf shut. It can be open, but if there is no infrastructure to take in or take out anything from the region, it makes no difference at that point, right? So this Middle Eastern chapter is too critical for the Western ruling class. Bigger strategy, and that's why I think there is a probability that if they will make calculations and come up with a suggestion that additional long-range strikes, let's say once Europeans will get involved, not gonna actually change fundamentals much in favor of Western elites, then they might go for nuclear weapons. They might actually go for nuclear weapons. That's going to be a game changer for sure. I mean, no one will argue with that. And I saw this report on RIA Novosti that University of Chicago's professor, John Mearsheimer, that you are all familiar with, of course, one of the voices of reason out there nowadays, Professor John Mearsheimer, during their conversation with Glenn Deason on his YouTube channel, stated that Israel could launch a nuclear strike on Iran out of desperation. And Israel will be green-lighted, of course, by globalists and their neocons in this, if something like that will actually happen. Who knows, maybe globalists and neocons will push not Israel to deploy nukes, but US. Also a probability, especially because, there is a Pakistani factor, right? Yes, US has tremendous influence over Pakistan. China has tremendous influence on Pakistan. UK historically has their influence there. But nevertheless, Pakistan leadership, and they made it clear, allegedly, according to reports in the internet, that if Israel deploys nukes against Iran, they will nuke back Israel. And maybe they mean that. And so I think Zionists will use whatever influence they have among globalists and the neocons to push for idea that no, it's not the Israel that can deploy nukes, because you never know, Pakistan might freaking strike back with the nukes. Let's force US. Yeah, let's use US to deploy nukes, because no one's gonna strike on US, right? And yes, it will be tremendous reputational harm for the US, from which it might never recover. But why? Why would they care, man? Why would the Western ruling class care about it? Why would Zionists care about it, anyways? And after all, does US has any positive reputation in this world to begin with? Not really. And yes, no one gonna retaliate on US if Americans deploy nukes, either now as a second phase, or after they will launch second phase with Europeans joining the war, and once they will realize that they are not going anywhere, maybe they will deploy nukes at that point. Either way, no one gonna retaliate on US, isn't it? I mean, Moscow will be mad, obviously. Beijing will be madder. New Delhi will be mad. All capitals of their nuclear powers, but they're not gonna strike back on US with the nukes, man. Not happening. We all know that, isn't it? So therefore, I will agree with Professor Mearsheimer's claim that out of desperation, Zionists and globalists might go for a nuclear option at some point in this war. But I don't think they're going to use Israel, man. I mean, earlier, 2 months ago, maybe I would say, you know what? Yeah, probably they will use Israel. But if you think about, it's too risky for them. it's too risky for Zionists, and Zionists are a powerful force, right? It's Israel is their project, man, and they're not gonna risk possible nuclear retaliation on Israel. It only takes like a couple of nukes, and there is no Israel left. And so they will push US to deploy nukes in that case. That's what I will say. And of course, no one gonna retaliate on US, man. It's a nuclear superpower. So, I mean, yes, Moscow, Beijing, New Delhi will make very strong statements and stuff. But what we're gonna do? We're not gonna freaking strike US, isn't it? I mean, with the nukes as a retaliation, because that will be extinction level event, and no Russian leader will ever sign up for that, ever. Same goes for China or India, of course, right? Because it's going to be literally extinction level event if there is a direct war between major nuclear countries, major nuclear powers. So yes, there is also this risk, by the way. There is also this risk that one of the options that globalists, neocons, and their Zionist allies might think about is a nuclear option. And risk is there, man. I will agree with Professor Meisheimer. Risk is definitely there. And I spoke earlier about nuclear possibility of the nuclear escalation, isn't it? Also, let's mention a couple of other news. US intelligence, according to CNN, indicates that China is preparing weapons shipments to Iran aimed at fragile ceasefire, which is quite interesting. US intelligence suggests that China is getting ready to supply Iran with their new air defense systems, manpads, portal, air defenses in the coming weeks, according to three sources familiar with the recent assessments. According to CNN, two of our sources told CNN that there are indicators that Beijing is working to route the shipments through third countries to mask their true origin. I mean, okay. I mean, China can send through Central Asia these weapons. China can send their weapons through Afghanistan, through Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan might be risky if they want to keep it secret. Pakistani route might be, the difficult one because of the U.S. level of U.S. infiltration of the Pakistan and British infiltration. But Afghanistan is a bit different. They can use Afghanistan, and China is bordering with Afghanistan too. It's a tricky border, of course. I'm not even sure if there is any actual routes there that can be any actual roads on that border, but can be used. Also, China can use Central Asian republics, isn't it? China can use Central Asian republics to to transfer weapons, let's say from Tajikistan to Afghanistan, then from Afghanistan to Iran. Maybe. Or China can send it to Russia, by the way, and Russia will deliver through Caspian Sea. And I think Russia itself will deliver whatever weapons can be delivered to Iran, whatever weapons Iran would ask for, or So it's not just China. It's not just China, I will argue, but other countries, other friendly nations to Iranian people will also do whatever they can to help them, to support them. What else? Earlier, I know, dear friends, I mentioned this post of Joe Cantor, former head of counterintelligence in the US. He commented on Trump's anti-NATO statements. Probably Joe can't buy this nonsense, buy into this nonsense that US is going to withdraw, or Trump going to withdraw US from NATO, which is not happening. I mean, impossible, by the way. But Joe can't buy into this stuff, which is surprising, actually. He was the head of counterterrorism assets that US has, isn't it? Counterterrorism institution there. He should be well informed about stuff. He had classified, access to classified information and everything. But somehow he buy into this nonsense that US is going to be withdrawn from NATO, which is not happening. And he wrote, unfortunately, leaving NATO won't be to avoid the foreign entanglements. We'll be leaving NATO so we can side with Israel when Turkey and Israel eventually clash in Syria. And by the way, I said straight away that once Assad's regime fell, it was obvious that Israel, from very first day, Israel and Turkey were on a trajectory of the clash, and they still are on that trajectory. And some former and possibly future high-ranking officials in Israel directly targeting Turkey already, claiming that Turkey is next. So that conflict gonna happen for sure. But US to sideline with Israel, they're not gonna withdraw. They're not gonna withdraw from NATO. They're gonna push Turkey out of NATO. And so in next 3 to 5 years, we should expect certain developments to take place that will eventually move Turkey out of this alliance. That's what's gonna happen. Mark my word, by the way. 3 to 5 years, Turkey not going to be in NATO. And when that happens, remember who was saying this years before. Also interesting that there is some cracks in the Pentagon. By the way, there is a confrontation, power struggle between the current head of U.S. Defense, Hexet, and the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll. We already have heard about confrontation between these two. They don't like each other, clearly. Driscoll, according to reports, Driscoll thinks that Trump is just unbelievably incompetent to lead their institution, defense institution of the U.S., and he is on point there, by the way. I mean, Hexet is a moron, literally, right? Just a moron, that's it. And also religious fundamentalist. That makes him actually very dangerous, very dangerous. At least he acts to be a religious fundamentalist. Maybe he's faking it, I don't know, right? But he's acting like a modern day this knight from era of crusades and stuff, which is crazy, which is insanity, right? Which is insanity, but that's his act. Driscoll himself, according to reports that I see, is much more adequate individual, much more competent individual. Could be case, I don't know, of course, but it is just worth noticing that there is some intentional struggle that is going on in U.S. armed forces. Dozens of high-ranking officers already being fired by Hexet, not necessarily because of the lack of professionalism on their side, but because of lack of trust that Hexet had in regards to them. After all, when it comes to professionalism, I don't think there is that many truly professional, high-ranking officers in U.S. Army. I don't believe U.S. has even a single decent profi general. I just don't think so, right? They have no school, man. They have no academy, similar to Russian General Staff's Academy, right? Where colonels are going in, right, to become generals. You cannot become general without going through this academy. It's not happening, right? You have to be on a level with your knowledge, right? No one can give you these stars of the general just because you are loyal to defense minister or something, right? But US is a different. In US, you can become general, being pretty moron, and many of them are. This General Keane constantly is on TV in US, right? Such a moron, man. Such a freaking moron. I cannot believe how that guy got even a sergeant, become even a, how such a moron could be even a sergeant in the army. But he's used to be general, and there are many others, right? Many others, by the way. You look what they are talking about, and I mean, you will definitely question. You will definitely question, man, a level of U.S. Uh, military education, big time, to say the least, right? So yes, something just to keep in mind that there is some friction that is going on in the Pentagon, and when it comes to internal confrontations in the US, or there is a massive civil war that also is happening among conservative public in the US. Trump, for whatever reason, decided that he have to come up with a massive post on his Truth Social that I'm not going to read. I did not read it, by the way. I have no intention to do so. But essence of this post is that he went after Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. He called names to these people, or insulted these people. Typical Trump, and I don't know, man. This is, I mean, when this hysteria gonna stop, man? Neither of these people, neither Tucker Carlson, neither Megyn Kelly, neither Candace Owens, neither Alex Jones, gonna lose any supporter that they have. Probably exactly the opposite will happen. After such a fierce attack from Trump, they will get more attention and more support. But yeah, clearly there is a massive war inside the US, by the way, between the Zionists actually and conservatives, traditionalists. Because on one side clearly is a Zionist camp, Zionists and all their elements that they control. And on another side, there is just a conservative public and their public figures that don't want to be Zionists. At least that's how they present themselves, that they are no Zionists. They don't want to be Zionists. They don't want US to be used and abused by Zionists whenever they want or feel like that. But it is also something to just pay attention. Let's see how far this confrontation will go. But Trump definitely destroyed, man, this alliance that was created in the US among centrists and right-wingers. There is no more alliance, by the way, and I don't think Republicans have even the slightest chance, to maintain control over their House and the Senate in after upcoming midterm elections. They're gonna lose both, for sure, man. They're gonna lose both, big time. I don't think that will change drastically U.S. foreign policies, because same groups of special interests going to be in charge anyways, right? But at least we might see some calm down happening in the US, right? Because right now Washington is acting like a freaking wild dog, man. It's just too much, really. And also when it comes to midterms, you know what I think? One of the ways how globalists, neocons, and Zionists going to continue this Middle Eastern chapter is, of course, topics that I already spoke about: deployment of NATO assets, possible deployment of even nukes, and there is a probability, by the way, I think, that there might be large scale invasion even into Iran. And such an invasion to happen, the US have to deploy hundreds of thousands of troops, literally hundreds of thousands of troops. Their allies have to do the same, right? And maybe probability of that such scenario is very little. But if globalists and the Zionists and the neocons decided that they're going to go for it to succeed in their Middle Eastern chapter of their strategy, or to have better chances for that, well, of course, they will use their influence in US, right? In their House, in their in a Senate, they will give Trump war authorities, correct? And if U.S. enters this, if U.S. further escalates this war with a massive ground invasion, that definitely can be used as justification to postpone midterm elections, isn't it? Maybe, I'm just saying, maybe something like that is also cooking out there. You never know. With these ones, man, you never know. Anything is possible. Also quite interesting that Melania Trump, for whatever reason, come up with the statements in regards to Epstein connection, her and Trump. Stage performance there from her. She went to spoke about all sorts of stuff there, but only question I have personally, why? What's going on? What's up? Why she is talking about Epstein story now? Is there some investigation of journalists, let's say, that are gonna get her published soon? Is there some? Do they have in White House some information that some files gonna get published that will directly indicate involvement of Trump and Melania, Donald and Melania Trump's into criminal activity of the Epstein? Something is happening, isn't it? This was a preemptive step taken by Melania Trump, and why? What's up there? There is tremendous rumors, isn't it, that Melania was Israeli and still is Israeli asset, and Epstein used her to get closer to Trump. There is some other rumors, of course. I don't know what's going on in reality, of course, but this act from Melania, like day before yesterday, was very strange. It raises many questions about what is being hidden from the public about possible links between Donald Trump and Melania Trump and Epstein and their accomplices, and about crimes that they might be implicated in. So something is going on. Maybe this is a blackmail. Maybe Zionists are, increasing their pressure on Trump. Right? Maybe Zionists are blackmailing Trump that they're going to publish some stuff if he does not obey his orders. And maybe Trump's team come up with some preemptive steps, right, to get rid of, to somehow improve their position in this relationships with the Zionists or the Israeli Secret Service. I don't know, man. I mean, some dodgy stuff is going on there. Some dodgy stuff is going on there for sure, right? And eventually, public gonna learn, man, what's up. Public will know eventually. Also, when it comes to US, remember Kamala Harris? She made a statement that she's considering to run for president in 2028 elections, during those or for those elections. Okay, by the way, okay. I don't really care. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't really care who's gonna run for what in US. But yes, man, Democrats should be freaking desperate if they cannot come up with anyone other than Kamala. I mean, there is, of course, they have this California governor, Newsom, definitely going to run for president, I think, for office. But I mean, they should be able to produce some better candidates, man, right? They should be. But now society in US probably are so disappointed with the Trump's administration that no matter who Democrats gonna come up with to run for president, probably they win. They can run for presidency with the freaking Mickey Mouse, and that big Mickey Mouse probably will win anyways. So that's what's happening there. And Anna just dropped some comments here. There was a $13.54 $14 donation on our PayPal right now during the stream from Matthew. And comment is, please give us an alternative payment option that does not fund the very wars you claim to oppose. And I don't know, there is a nickname also there, but because I said name, real name, I mentioned real name. Therefore, I will not mention nickname. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthew, for donation. And when it comes to alternative means, well, there is a boosty, by the way, right? I mean, there is a boosty that can be used there for donations. For example, there is a Rumble. I mean, what do you mean by alternative payment options? I mean, there is only a few, isn't it? There is only a few that are available, and you can link. I mean, you can link anything that has any Western participation into it. You can link all of those platforms with the wars if you want to, right? I mean, that's how it is. So, and we are using these platforms, Western platforms. We in alternative media, by the way, are using very same Western platforms to fight this Western warmongering, Western wars, Western deception, right? So we are using tools that are available. I mean, we cannot invent some alternative universe in which most of the platforms are actually from some neutral country, for example, because it is what it is. Most of the dominant platforms are linked to the West. That's how it is. But nevertheless, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the donation. And yet again, Boosty, by the way. Boosty, I believe it probably does have Western partners. Otherwise, these transactions probably would not work. But Boosty is also a Russian project, I believe. So it's a Russian-Western project. Maybe even completely Russian, but probably they must have some Western partners to make sure that these transactions work. But it's a Russian one too, Boosty, and it's I already demonstrated in the beginning. That's the Boosty platform, by the way. You can log into platform with any account that you already have. Here, it shows me Vkontakte, Одноклассники, Mail, YouTube, or Google accounts, or I don't even know what this is. Twitch. You can, in your country, it will show you platforms that are most popular in your region, and you can use any existing account there on those platforms, any of them. You just click and you enter the platform. You don't have to do much, right? And once you are in, you can subscribe. Right here, everything is written. You can subscribe, choose your level of supporter. You can donate to this project. I mean, it's very convenient for creators from Russia, especially, right? Because of these Western sanctions, we have some difficulties, isn't it? We and our supporters, I mean, we have some difficulties in regards to donations and stuff. But Boosty actually is, manages to make life for creators and the donators much easier. You donate, and their platform automatically exchanges their currency into rubles, and there automatically transfers on my account next day. I don't have to do anything whatsoever. It's very convenient in this regard. While when it comes to donations through PayPal or support from Patreon, it's I have to transfer it to my wife's PayPal first, then my wife from her Georgian account sends her money to one of our relatives, and that relative is sending money to us here in Russia. It's many steps need to be done. While Boosty is makes life much easier. It automatically does everything. As an answer to your suggestion about alternative platforms, but yet again, I mean, that's the best I know, Boosty. I don't really know anything else, right? And I mean, when it comes to Patreon support, for example, I mean, nothing is wrong with the Patreon. It might be like Belgian project or then Danish project. It's a European project, isn't it? But also very useful tools to support creators, very popular, especially in the Western world. So Patreon is good, isn't it? And PayPal. That's all I have really. And Rumble. I mean, you can become premium subscriber on Rumble. You can donate through Rumble, use Super Chat. Okay, a few more news, dear friends. I think you're going to find this information interesting. Some economical stuff, and then let's check some latest updates, by the way. So 39 out of 50 Europe's tallest buildings, which are now under the construction, are, you guessed in which country? 39 out of 50 tallest buildings in Europe are in Russia. 39 out of 50. Second place takes Spain with the 5 high-rise buildings being constructed. And the tallest building among those that are going to be constructed here in Russia is Lahta Center 2, which will be 703 meters after construction is finished. And by the way, I believe first top 5 tallest buildings in Europe, top 3 or top 5, all are in Russia, all of them. Tallest building now is Bashня Federaции, I believe, or used to be tallest, in Moscow city. Lahta Center in St. Petersburg is also one of the tallest buildings in Europe. Definitely there is nothing similar in Europe, but in Russia it might be the first or among top 3. Also like massive building, by the way. But this is definitely a good indicator. I think these constructions of high-rise buildings, definitely good indicator, I think, about economy. You only build high-rise skyscrapers when your economy feels good, when there is demand, right? When there is demand for this type of constructions and this volume of office spaces, right? Because mostly these are office spaces. Although, of course, in many skyscrapers, there is office spaces, there is a shopping mall, there is hotels, and even residential areas you can buy. In Moscow city, you can actually buy, if you want, or like flats. I don't know how much it's gonna cost you, though. Probably millions and millions of dollars. But anyways, interesting news, isn't it? I think it's interesting stuff there. Also, dear friends, Financial Times reports that European airports face jet fuel shortages within 3 weeks due to the situation in the Middle East, and that means, I guess, possible crisis. That means that the European countries might face, and the European avio companies might face some serious issues. Um, but yet again, it's a Western ruling class that launched this war, right? So, and also, dear friends, of course, we have to mention Artemis 2 program, spacecraft splashed down after 10-day moon flight. A great success for all of humanity, not just for NASA, by the way, or the US, but for humanity, all of humanity, I will argue. And that's how I think we humans should take these successful stories in science and in many other fields, right? These fields should unite us. And so I'm happy, by the way, I'm happy that this project went well. It's a great deal, of course. NASA's Artemis 2 astronauts have safely returned to Earth, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Southern California and closing out the first crewed journey around the moon in more than half a century. Great news, by the way, great achievement, of course, but unfortunately, due to developments, tragic developments in the Middle East, and this war that US is waging against the Iranian people, of course, very little attention was given to this moon mission. But nevertheless, it's a great success and another step forward for humanity in terms of becoming a serious spacefaring civilization. Good news there. Good news, and dear friends. Before I check some Telegram channels, let's check here some of the media outlets, maybe for a possible breaking news. Well, I already reported that Truce has begun. Trump claimed U.S. is beginning to clear the Strait of Hormuz. Really? Okay. U.S. President Donald Trump stated that the United States is beginning to clear the Strait of Hormuz to ensure free navigation. Well, maybe that's what they are calling now, that situation when U.S. destroyer went in and probably with the escort of some other vessels, went into Gulf, Persian Gulf, and then returned, make the U-turn straight away as soon as Iranians issue their warning. But maybe they will continue. Maybe Washington will continue to escalate in this direction, and eventually some of those vessels gonna get smashed, man, by Iranians. If they play stupid games, they will get stupid prices. That's what's gonna happen there. Also, let's check. Holy fire descended in the Church of a Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. This is, of course, a big deal, by the way. Tomorrow we will celebrate Easter Orthodox Christians, and this fire, holy fire, will move all over the world now to all the Orthodox churches, and believers gonna pray this night, whole night, right? They're gonna wait until this fire arrives. I was a few times in the church in Georgia, by the way. I'm not a bigger, massive religious person, not at all. But yeah, nevertheless, I was a couple of times in the church when to celebrate Easter. So yeah, it's a big, massive celebration, of course. By the way, let's check RIA Novosti, what RIA Novosti is reporting about, if there is any updates. Ukrainian armed forces violated the Easter ceasefire by striking the Kursk and the Belgorod regions. I mean, no one is surprised, I guess. Last year, they violated their ceasefire 4,000 times, more than 4,000 times. So they will do the same this time around too. Tehran has denied reports of US Navy ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, let's go for some Telegram channels. By the way, let's see what Telegram channels are reporting about her, and then maybe a little community chat. I don't know, for 10-15 minutes. We're gonna have a big community chat tomorrow, of course. Big community chat, and there also the Sunday live streams are fundraisings. That's idea that I present some time ago, and only a few times we actually managed to reach our goal during these fundraisings, which is $200. But few times we did manage to reach it, isn't it? Usually we are failing big short. But anyways, that's tomorrow. Today, let's check some telegrams now. But I don't think they're gonna be some massive breaking news, because TASS or RIA would report about it. But anyways, let's see what the Geopolitics is writing about her. Islamabad talks have moved into expert technical phase. Specialized committee members from Iran's delegation have now joined their negotiations. Expert level talks means they are getting into their specifics, environment, sanctions, Hormuz, assets, and so on. Okay, I mean, American side will do whatever they can to prolong, to buy as much time as they can with these fake negotiations. They are, and it is fake. From Iranian side, I believe Iranians are serious. They want the escalation, but I cannot believe, by the way, that US delegation and US leadership and their Western ruling class is serious about the escalation. Nah. Well, the Geopolitics is also reporting about that situation in Hormuz Strait. US warship has stopped moving and was turned away from the Strait of Hormuz by RGC Navy. Al Jazeera reports. Okay. Iran is imposing its demands. IRIB analysis on Iran's unprecedented negotiating position. One point, contrary to decades of American practice, Iran has designed their negotiating table itself. Tehran explicitly blocked figures like Kushner and others with bad track records from the US delegation. Really? Is Kushner not participating in these talks? He should be there in Islamabad. But anyways, American media, citing John Bolton, note that US accepted Iran's preconditions and sent different negotiators. Okay, maybe true, but how Bolton knows about it? Bolton himself is a warmonger, isn't it? And mass murderer and criminal. Protesters breached inside perimeter at the Shannon airport in Ireland today, climbing onto the wing of the parked US Air Force C-130 Hercules and damaged their fuselage with what it's believed to be an axe, taking the aircraft out of service. And yeah, you can see video, by the way. There is someone on the plane. Ah, come on, man. You cannot see there. So you can now. You see? I mean, let's make it bigger. So there is someone there on a plane smashing axe on the fuselage. That's a crazy story, man, there. Look. It's insanity. It's fuel tanks there, isn't it, in the wings, man? If they damage fuel tanks and if there is a spark, then entire plane might go off in flames, man. But yeah, quite interesting stuff there. Wall Street Journal reports that two US Navy guided missile destroyers passed through the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday as US-Iran peace talks got underway. Did they pass or turn away? Actually, I don't know. Also, Western media reports that no, they stopped. They were trying to go in, but they turned around and went back. I don't know. We will learn more about this story. Well, Trump again says something. The fake news media is crazy or just playing corrupter. United States has completely destroyed Iran's military, including their entire Navy and Air Force, and everything else. Their leadership is dead. The Strait of Hormuz will soon be open, and their empty ships are rushing to United States to load up. But if you listen to the fake news, we are losing. President Donald J. Trump, you are not losing. You already lost, man. First phase of this war, you lost. That's it, period. There is nothing to discuss there. Yes, Iran suffered significant damage. Iranian people had to face tremendous pain, but they win. This first phase of the war, they won. For sure. That's how everybody sees this, man. Right? Okay, let's check Kirill Fyodorov's channel. They report about Boris Johnson is in Zaporozhye region today making some documentary. He is using this ceasefire stuff, I guess. This is the truce to get to some closer to their front line and make some photos there. So what's a scumbag that Johnson is, man? Also, you can see here work of Russian drone operators. Liman direction, this is. And yeah, destruction of some equipment. And yet again, this is two vehicles that were struck by FPV drones by Kiev regime's forces, clear violation of their truce. Let's see what RT reports. Barack Ravid is commenting that US did not receive allegedly no warning of 30 minutes or something like that Iranian media reported. Why those vessels turned away then, or did not this happen? It's fog of war, man. You just don't know what's up, right? What to believe. White House confirms Vance and Iran's team, led by Galibaf, are meeting face to face. Okay. Alleged Hezbollah drone intercepted and destroyed in the sky over the northern Israel. Trump considered their televised advice about his truce with Iran, but preferred announcing it on a Truth Social, Reuters. Okay. By the way, in Iranian delegation, there is also Professor Marandi. You are familiar, of course, with the professor. He's a professor from Tehran University, and one of the most well-known voices from Iran in the field of alternative media, at least. Although every now and then some some MSM does invite him to. Mainstream media outlets also paying attention, but our community definitely is familiar with Professor Morandi, and Art is also sharing this video of US C-30 Hercules plane being damaged damaged by protesters in Ireland. Okay, dear friends, that's I guess it when it comes to news for this moment. Let me check. Rumble. I see. Super chat on Rumble. Let me highlight this super chat, dear friends. Let me highlight this super chat. Dwayne Cook, thank you very much for your super chat on Rumble and their $10 donation. And Dwayne Cook is commenting, John Mearsheimer said Trump basically surrendered as he realized they can't win, and said Netanyahu is a psychopath, so he is capable of dropping a nuke. And he is shocked the US is involved in a genocide. Thank you for sharing, Dwayne. I'm going to take a look at that interview, that conversation between Dwayne Diesel and Professor Mearsheimer. After this stream, I might actually take a look at this. And yes, I see probability there for sure that Israel might actually use nukes. But I don't know. I also see probability that Zionists might use their influence in Europe among and in US, by the way, among globalists and neocons to push her idea that US should drop nukes if it comes to it, because no one gonna retaliate on US, while Israel gonna get smoked if they deploy nukes, man. Israel gonna get smoked for that, right? And so I would not exclude the probability that out of desperation, Western ruling class Zionists they will push US administration to drop the nukes. Thank you very much, Dwayne Cook, for sharing and for your super chat and the $10 donation. On the Rumble, thank you very much. And well, I see comment from Nidish. Levan, you are getting exhausted. You watch 10 minutes for every topic. Levan, you are getting exhausted. Use stopwatch 10 minutes for every topic. I don't get it, Nidish. What I should do? Use a stopwatch 10 minutes for every topic. What is the mechanics there? I don't really understand. You mean I should take pause during the streams or but it is, I mean, you might see on my face when stream is a little longer than an hour. It is demanding stuff, man. You might not think so, but if you try, you will realize that you will be tired even before you will launch stream, because you have to go through so many news, right? And read and listen and all that stuff. Then you have to prepare the programs themselves, right? And then you have to launch live stream and try your best to be focused on the topics. So it is, yes, I mean, long, especially long live streams are quite exhausting. So my apologies, dear friends, if I look tired. But yeah, it is what it is. I was thinking to have a day off today, but because of these developments, I saw, you know what, let's do a live stream, and maybe some members of community are around on internet and they will join. And thank you all for your attention, dear friends. Hopefully, new segment itself was informative and interesting. We went through all the latest news that there is right now in regards to some major topics, right? And dear friends, I guess that's it for now. Live stream is more than 2 hours. Live stream is more than 2 hours already. And okay, then I will end live stream now, if I may. And let me remind you that tomorrow we will have a big community chat, traditional Sunday community chat, fundraising stream. Hopefully it will work out good, and hopefully we'll have some more good news tomorrow. We all need some good news, man, because unfortunately most of the reports are about some negativity, and I mean, we all are tired of that, of course. Thank you all, dear friends. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and take care. Bye for now.